This is your host, Steve from the back, coming at you again, raw and unscripted, as always, on a cold Friday. So, I have some questions to ask to you guys, or to ask of you guys. First off, are you guys new to this channel? Welcome everyone that's new to this channel. 2, do you like do you like unhinged content? Do you like cringy content? Do you like manic rants? It's just a question. Just wondering. Some people like the crazy stuff. Some people like the craziness. Sometimes they get judgment for it. Some people like it. Some people don't. You know what I mean? But aside from all that stuff, everyone likes to have fun. I'm sure you guys like to have fun on that channel. And I apologize if I'm not like the most exciting, loud person doing a YouTube rant, because I'm really not. You know what I mean? I'm not very verbal. I'm actually not very loud. But let's just get right into this rant, you guys. So I also wanted to ask actually I'm not gonna go there, because I want this rant to be cleaner. Maybe I want this to actually be able to possibly even be monetized, if I can help myself. I wonder, have you guys ever heard of the Pale Crawler? Have you guys ever heard of the Rake? Has anyone watching this channel ever heard of the Pale Crawler, the Rake, the Fleshgate? What's another name that they call it? I'm trying to think if there's any other names that I can't remember that they might call this thing. Well, that creature, if anyone's heard of that before, I would say that is probably my favorite. I would say hands down favorite. I'll admit that. Because I'm trying to think. Yeah, I would honestly say it's probably my hands down favorite cryptid. And also, I'll be honest, it's my favorite cryptid, but at the same time, it may be one of my most feared cryptids. And I know on this channel I always talk about, not fearing things. I talk about being open. I talk about not being judgmental when encountering an unknown being. I talk about putting people under a lens more than you put a cryptid under a lens. Being more standoffish with people, and you gotta screen people, you gotta judge people much more, I feel like much more carefully than you do these cryptids or whatever, if you were to ever encounter one. But with all that being said, the nature of the Rake is such a thing where there's so much uncertainty going on there that, someone may say, well, why is it your favorite? Well, the reason why it's my favorite, I feel like, is because, for one, I relate to it to some degree. I feel like, I'm not saying I understand it at all, but I'm saying, as a human being, I feel like something that is human-like, you can at least relate certain things to it, possibly. Maybe not even. Who knows? You know what I mean? No one's inside the heads of these things. But so to me, there's a sense of endearment, like there is, when that you can relate to people. For me, it's the same thing when I look at a cryptid. I feel like there is a sense of endearment there, and you realize that cryptids also have personalities too. They're not all the same. So the Rake just seems like a cryptid that, for some reason, I seem to be interested in more than, I'm interested in all of them really, but the thing is, the Rake just stands out to me for that reason. Plus, you know, I am a Satanist, and you know, the Rake in itself seems to have like a very dark gothic aesthetic almost, because you gotta understand, the Rake is a human-like creature that is pale as a tissue, you know, with usually very, very dark big eyes. So it's like, if you look at basically a paper white creature with these big black, jet black eyes and like gaping mouth, you know, like usually with sharp teeth, you know, they describe it as a mouth that seems like it's just gaping and doesn't want to close, you know. And when you think of something like that, the first instinct, let's just be real, the first instinct is probably to run like hell, probably. You know what I mean? For most people, like, when you think of something like that, it's incredibly jarring. The whole white skin thing is incredibly jarring. I mean, think of it. If you're walking in your usually it's going to be in the dark, and then you just see a jet white, not jet black, but a pure white figure, like almost just sticking out because it's so pale, and it's moving incredibly fast. That's jarring. You know what I mean? That's incredibly jarring I feel like for anyone's psyche. And then the contrast of the eyes that look like holes, you know, that is incredibly jarring. I feel like even if it's only for like 3 seconds, that's incredibly, like, your heart's probably gonna be pounding, like, something about that. So to me, it's just very interesting. You know what I mean? It's interesting to think that there's cryptids like that. It's interesting to imagine, you know, like, it seems like something you would see off of a black metal cover or something, you know, like the image of some creature looking like that, you know what I mean? And the thing looks emaciated, you know, the thing looks so bone thin that some people almost wonder, like, okay, well, how is it alive? Is something that emaciated should be running around and alive? It shouldn't be, right? It should be dead, but like, so it's an interesting thing. It's really weird. It's like, you know, that's one of the reasons why, for me, it seems like a very interesting cryptid, and it's probably my favorite, if not one of my most favorites. I'd say it's probably my favorite. So there was this channel, and these people were talking about an encounter where, now they didn't say specifically that it was a Rake creature, but this is kind of part of what I want to talk about, you guys, is what I found interesting was the fact that this creature very well could be, or creatures in this incident, could very well be, if this story was even true, mind you, could be Rake creatures, could be the same creature, you know what I mean? Now, this creature that we call the Rake could be a shapeshifter. Like, who knows? It could be a concept. It could be a being that doesn't have a solid one form. It could be a creature that necessarily might take on forms depending on what its ability is, you know what I mean, or who's looking at it, or I don't know, or the circumstances, or whatever, or how much energy it has. I don't know. You know what I mean? But with that being said, in this particular story, I believe that it was a woman that was a daughter, and it was a father, and they encountered these beings, and at first it appeared to be a woman with her son, I believe, and they looked hungry. And, you know, they actually let the woman and the son into the house at first. And then upon realizing that these two people that, well, they thought were people, or they're still people in my opinion, but just maybe some very sinister, very strange type of people, because I consider cryptids people too, you know, they're just like different, you know, whatever they are. In my opinion, if you have, you know, a beating heart and lungs, and like, you're that intelligent, to me, you're a person. I just can't understand I can't really understand, what type of person that is, but I mean, I still would call it a person, but let's just call it a non-human person. You know what I mean? Like, so whatever these things were seemed like they were had some really bad intentions. Like, nothing to me seemed innocent about these things, and these seemed like they were some serious trouble. You know what I mean? Like, this seemed like an instance where, you could probably throw out that anything was innocent going on with these beings because of the way they behaved. And I don't think they were just trying to scare these people. I think they meant like some serious harm. And it was some really evil, sinister stuff going on. And I'm just going to call that on this case that they probably deserve to die. Like, I believe that they dealt with these creatures, and it was probably deserved because these things didn't seem like they had any good intentions at all. Like, they seemed, the thing tried to jump on the girl. Supposedly, the girl's mom supposedly went missing due to one of these things. So, in this case, usually I tend to give a cryptid the benefit of the doubt, like it's just minding its own business. To me, no, it seemed like they were hunting these people, and this was some serious bad stuff that was going on for whatever reason. I don't know. You know what I mean? I can't even say that it was warranted or not, but I just know that, like, I think you're in the realm of rightfully defending yourself if some person or being is like trying to kill you or worse. You know what I mean? Because only God knows what really these things' intentions were. But with all that being said, honestly, it was weird too, because I feel like, how dumb are these things too? Like, that's not, like, how stupid are they at the same time, as intelligent as they might be, like, how dumb. Because to me, I'm just going to be honest, one thing that stood out to me as this story being fake is the fact that supposedly the girl picked up a pitchfork and she kept jabbing, and this thing, for whatever reason, was reluctant to come near her, occasionally almost getting jabbed by the pitchfork. And you mean to tell me that when finally she trips and falls, the thing lunges and then falls on the pit? Like, no, I'm just gonna be honest. That sounds like Hollywood to me. Because even a dumb person or animal kind of understands, like, range, and they understand, like, okay, I'm in range to get hurt, I'm out of range to get hurt. I'm in range. It's like, it doesn't take rocket science to understand, like, okay, somewhere, somehow, I have to grab hold of this obstacle that's in front of me that I can get hurt, and try to get around this person to hurt them. You know what I mean? Or it's like, it doesn't, that's Hollywood. That whole, like, someone's going to jump onto your weapon. The monster's going to jump onto your weapon. I don't buy it. You know what I mean? I don't, maybe, but I really don't buy it. Like, if it was an intelligent being enough to fool you to get into the house, to take on a form that's a person, then how dumb can this thing be that it can't fight a person with a friggin' pitchfork? Like, come on, really? A woman at that? Like, you mean to, I don't know. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm completely don't know what I'm talking about, because maybe that's exactly what happened. And that creature is just that dumb. And good for that woman that she's just smart enough. You know what I mean? Like, oh well, but, fair is fair. You know what I mean? People shouldn't be out here trying to do these things. But, I promote that we should be living in peace. You know what I mean? I always promote, like, we should be living in peace with each other, but we should be also living in peace with these cryptids, if possible. This shouldn't be this thing about people, trying to hunt each other, murdering each other, and all this stuff. People hunting cryptids, cryptids hunt. There shouldn't be this type of stuff going on, in my opinion. I try to perpetuate on this channel that, like, don't be judgmental, first off, with anything. If you realize something is bad, has bad intentions, then you're within every right to completely annihilate whatever it is, wherever that is. That's my mentality. But, that should go without being said. But, and if you've seen enough videos of mine, you should know that already. But with all that being said, I'm a little skeptical about the story, but I don't know. It could be 100% real. It could be true. I really can't say. But that just stuck out to me as kind of sounding like a straight up Hollywood trope. It doesn't sound like reality. I don't even know, like, you know, would a dog jump on a would a dog even dive on a pitchfork that's being jabbed at? And I don't know about that. You know what I mean? If you got hands, your hands are jumping on that thing first, and if you have a mouth like a dog, I'm pretty sure your mouth is trying to grab hold of that pitchfork first. That's as far as I know, to manipulate it and try to disarm that person. You don't have to be that trained to understand that. You know what I mean? That's almost like instinct, like survival instinct. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't know. But with all that being said, this cryptid story to me actually seemed like it could be a potential rake story, honestly. Now in this story, I'm trying to think, like, so I think the woman and the man survived. The mom went missing or whatever. She's probably killed by these things. But another interesting thing was that they're talking about like cornfields, and I guess this happened in a cornfield and in a barn or whatever, near a house and cornfield and barn, I think. So, another interesting thing I have to say about this, which I took from it, was like, it's really interesting if something can be running around in a cornfield naked, most likely, and not getting all dinged up and scraped up, because you gotta have some serious type of skin to be running around naked in a cornfield. Corn, I mean, it's not like corn is not corn. I don't know what to call them, but it's the way it is in a field is not necessarily like harmless or pleasant. So it just makes you wonder, like, what are these creatures that be running around naked in cornfields? You know what I mean? Like, and this really is a real thing too. It is a real thing, but still, I'm just like, what type of skin do these beings have? Let's just be honest. You guys know, like, there's been a lot of like alien encounters in these cornfields, and these aliens aren't wearing any clothes a lot of times, and they're running through these cornfields fast too. That's another thing too. Something really, really thin. People think like thin equals always, no, thin doesn't always equal fast. Like, you look at a person who's literally like looks emaciated, does not always mean that they're fast. But then you also look at a deer, how relatively thin a deer's limbs are, and you see how fast and powerful deers are. So it's kind of, who knows, you know what I mean? But I look at these things like practically, you know what I mean? Like, obviously there's a lot of stuff going on that's like almost magical, I would say. Do I consider these beings like magical beings? I do, at 100%, because there's no other word to call it than what it is. They are magical, and they are magical beings. But there is practicality with everything, like with in a certain point, up to a certain point, And I was gonna talk about this in this rant before I close, and I still am gonna talk about this. I was gonna talk about how, like, I feel like a lot of this stuff, like I said, there's practicality and there's known science that goes in with all of this. Yes, there's phenomenon. Yes, there's things going on that people don't understand, that I don't understand, no one understands. But also, I really believe strongly that, like, if this being is functioning in our domain, or whatever you want to call it, it's still abiding by certain rules. You know what I mean? Or else I don't think the thing would be there at all, or it couldn't be perceived at all. Like, there has to be some density to this, that it's actually interacting similar to like how we're interacting with things, So with all that being said, I'm personally, not being a person that was witness to this like firsthand, secondhand, or anything, just listening to the story, all I'm doing is looking at it through somewhat of a practical lens, looking at it like, okay, there's things I can't explain about that. There's things I do get, like you said the thing was in the field, right? You didn't say it was hovering above the field. You didn't say that it would just materialize in the field. You know what I mean? You didn't say anything like that. So, if it could interact with a friggin' pitchfork and clearly be harmed and wail, you know what I mean? And literally wail like you think a person would, by getting almost impaled by this pitchfork, supposedly. And I'm not saying that in an insulting way. I'm just saying, there's a little skepticism here with me. But, so my whole point is like the same way that we are so wholeheartedly sold on, certain things that we know. I'm not saying that you should be wholeheartedly sold on the things you don't know, but I'm saying you probably should consider that they're in the realm of possibility. Because I've talked about this before about how like things of that type of nature, in my opinion, seem to not be anything like Hollywood portrays like things. Things seem to happen seamlessly. That's the only way I can describe it. Like there's we all know what seamless means, and it's like a very seamless type of transition that these things seem to happen in the way that things seem to look, the way these beings seem to look, the way that they behave. It's very seamless. Like it's very matter of fact almost. Like it's very it's not like Hollywood, you know what I mean? It's a very seamless, very subtle, very uncannily natural type of way that these things happen. So, that's what I feel like. That's what this world really is. You know what I mean? That's what this world is. People talk about like sometimes the most the easiest explanation is the easiest explanation. You know what I mean? Like you may not want to ever believe it. It may like break your psyche, even some people that to believe it. But really, that's what the truth is. Like the easiest explanation is that these things are going on, and they're going on very seamlessly. You know what I mean? It's not like some big thing. It's not some big blown out weird like fantastical type of movie scene, or no, it's just like this weird thing that's happening, and it just is what it is. You know what I mean? And that's how I look at it. So this is your host Steve from the back. This is not going to be some long rant. This rant is going to be short. I just wanted to rant on this. I thought it was incredibly interesting. I always like ranting on the rake. I think because it's my favorite, so I always rant on the rake. So that's it, you guys. That's the rant. I'm also gonna say I appreciate all the subs, all the likes and stuff. People who are actually subbed to this channel. I appreciate that they at least subbed. Now, as far as the future of this channel, there's a lot of networks that I have to connect. There's a lot of people I have to meet. There's a lot of, for me to get this channel really going, to get it doing everything it's supposed to be doing, it is going to take a lot more. And I'm just like putting it out there because like some people may wonder like how come you just rant on this channel, or how come well that's why. It's because everything has to fall together, and it's all about meeting the right people that are willing to put their time and effort into this thing. Like I feel like channels, for them to really make like good content, like in my opinion, usually you need a team. You can't just, you know what I mean? Like that's my opinion. For you to really, make a good content, it could take a team, which a lot of people have. Which I'm gonna throw out there, like like people listen to Dark Waters, they listen to the Cryptid Roundtable and the Cryptid Brothers and stuff. Those are all teams. You know what I mean? Like so, that's exactly my point. So with all that being said, until next time, you guys, have a good one, and I would advise you to like, comment, and sub, and I'll guarantee you this, like, I'll guarantee you that, like, if you're subbed to this channel, and if time progresses, or even, you're a person who even has resources that you could help with productions and things, you know, whatever it is on this channel, you'll find that my sense of humor is actually funny. You'll find that. You'll find that like I'm serious about things, but like that, you will laugh your ass off. Like you will at some point. And often I'm gonna say, you know, I'm often the person that will take it there with my humor, where other people are afraid to overstep them. They're afraid to overstep like the boundary. They're afraid to go there. I always take it straight there. So, you know, that's something that I have that some channels, I'm not going to say they don't, but I'm going to say we all have our brand of humor, and usually, I'm just being honest, I've been told that I can be hilarious with certain things, and I agree. You know, I mean, I crack my own self up sometimes, like, but it all just depends on what I'm given the tools to make certain content with. You know, I have to be given the right tools to work with, and that's the only way that can happen. You know what I mean? Or else you probably never know. So this is your host Steve from the back, and until next time, you guys have a good one.